Going to work. Oh, I'm not good. So YouTube, I hope it said we started streaming. So I decided to use Zoom because when I tried to go directly, it wasn't working. So hope this is actually working. Hello, hello, hello. Also streaming here on TikTok. Hello. Today's topic is your sensitive. Oh, it's private. Why is it private? But is it actually? Girl, I'm not getting into it right now. I'll deal with that later. Um, Today's topic is your sensitivity in service to you or your prison? Is your sensitivity in service to you or your prison? Before I get into the topic, I feel like I need to say something. So I am in whatever you would call what I'm in. Okay. I'm using a lot of energy to transmogrify. I'm using a lot of energy to transmogrify. Um, Coming into power is not pretty. It's not fun. It's not like TikTok cute and like feminine power and girl, because I'm laid and I'm girl, like coming into actual power that cannot be corrupted, that's incontrovertible, is uncomfortable. It requires energy. It's difficult, and nobody can do it alone. And most men and women do not want full real power. Most of us want comfort. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with some kind of comfort, right? The community that I'm creating is a comfort of truth. It's a comfort of knowing that this is home. It's not the kind of comfort that gradually sedates you into amnesia and into smallness so that you become this, blind thing who is able to be contorted into being unlike who you really are. And I have such a big vision for the collective, for the way I know humanity is to go. And there's so many of us here that have the seed to become these beings. So many of us. And I don't mean to say like masses of us, but plenty of us. And we are plagued by our inability to deal with our sensitivity and have it be in service to us. We are plagued by our own negative thoughts. We are plagued by the symbols that live, that have a lot of conviction in our unconscious mind. Our lack of relationship with our daemon self, our isolation, our quest for suffocating comfort, our concern for appearances, and all of these cheap ways that we go about. And my way, my life, my thinking is the antithesis. And so the vision that I have to go in the direction that I know is for us requires a lot of energy. It requires a tremendous amount of transmogrifying. And I am aware that it puts me on a very non-traditional path. I'm aware of how much it isolates me. And when I say isolate, I don't mean like over in a corner by myself. I realize how much that puts me inside of a small group of women on planet Earth. Very much so. It puts us, that's why any woman who comes into real power, she's apart, she's isolated, she's not amongst the all. And if she is, it's for a purpose. It's very intentional. And so I say that because my energy is, sometimes I'm up, and it's not like that today. So And I felt compelled to be here today. There's so much, so much, so much, so much, so much, so much, so much. So that was my intro. So nothing stops us but ourselves. Nothing stops us. Most of us don't actually believe that or even really know that beyond belief. Uh, Nothing stops us. We stop ourselves, and most of us are hugely disconnected from our true. So let's connect this to today's topic of, is your sensitivity in service to you or your prison? So let me define sensitivity. Sensitivity meaning you're highly empathic, highly, right? Like all humans have some ability to be empathic in some way. And the man and woman who I'm talking to are unusually empathic. What do I mean by unusually empathic? You can hear things that aren't even being said, but it's in the ether. Okay. You can walk into a room and you know what's going on. You can feel all of what's going on. Um, I wish I could remember this, but it's here. There's a book called The Language of Emotions. For those of you who love to read books, there's a book called The Language of Emotions. The author's name is Karen something. And in there, she says something like, if he only knew I could hear him. I'm really off with what I'm saying, but it's the essence of what I'm saying that she said that speaks to being highly empathic is he didn't know that I could hear him in the trees, something like that. He didn't know that I could hear him in the trees. They didn't know that I could feel, like all this. And so when you're highly empathic like that and you lack the skill of interacting with others in the face of your empathic abilities versus, you hear deeply empathic people being like, man, I was social for today and I need to go rest for a month, girl. I need to go. What they're telling you is they lack skill with being highly empathetic with other people. Okay. Because when you have the skill, and this is what you begin to develop inside of my woman community, when you have the skill of being very sensitive, right? Meaning so as soon as somebody walks into a room, you know what's going on with them. They get in front of you and they smile and they do it well because human beings are pretending all the time. So a person who comes in front of you and they're pretending well, very well, and you can see it all, you can feel it all, just like, and you can, when you have skill, depending on the purpose of that connection, right? Is it a friend? Is it your boss? Is it your mom? Who is it, right? Depending on the purpose of that relationship and what the goal is, you can be intentional without, worried about being too sensitive and they gonna think you crazy and, needing to leave and, you know, now I become sad because she's sad and I'm just so empathetic. That's code for I lack the skill of being empathic in the presence of other people, particularly where there's high emotion, high sensation, and shit is actually happening. And why this matters is because, one, you want to be thriving in your life. Let's just start there. Do you need to go fucking disappear after a weekend out all the time? Like, you have a disagreement, something happens at work, something happens with, and you need to go withdraw for a week now. Like, maybe if that's how you want to do it, this content is not for you. But I'm saying this matters. You developing this skill, which you develop inside my woman community, is important because you want to thrive. Yes or no? That's one. Two, if you are in the business of helping people, or you want to be in the business of helping people, coach, healer, medicine woman, card reader, therapist, coach, magician, alchemist, all the things, right? Psychotherapist, community leader, speaker, metaphysicist, author, speak, all the things to help people, healer. You're going to be dealing with human beings that got a lot of shit going on. And if their shit causes you to lose your shit, or their shit causes you to want to go hide, if working with clients all day means you got to go withdraw for a week, if dealing with another woman's intense emotion, if dealing with the darkness inside of another human being means you got to go retreat for a fucking month, is that how you want to live your life? Answer the question, yes or no. Is that how you're gonna do this for the next year, 3 years, 5 years? Or is it important for you to be so astute, so astute, so skilled? You're skilled. You're skilled with dealing with high sensation, high emotion, triggering people, triggering words, triggering emotions, because you engage in the practice in a safe and structured community like my community, where you can be a fucking giant in the world. You want that or no? It's as simple as that. If you don't want that, go hide up under something, somebody, go hide, go play small. You can do that. Most people do. Okay? So before I go on, if you know that my community is for you, go to the link in my bio, put yourself on the wait list for my womanhood initiation. Again, if you know that my community is for you, if you're on TikTok, go to the link in my bio, click it, click womanhood initiation, put yourself on the wait list. If you're on YouTube, the link is in the description. Okay. Now you hear what I'm talking about. This is what I mean by most people don't want power, because this work is challenging, it's taxing, it's confronting, and it's difficult. And people think they want it, and then they get on the path where this belief that they've been having for 10 years, that they realize is, oh God, that's actually a shame-based belief. Wow, that's actually a fear-based belief. And then they don't like how it feels, they don't like the work that's involved, and they abandon themselves. And so this is what I mean when I say it's not even just women. Most men don't want. That's why they talk about like real alpha males or like real men. They only make up like 10% of the population. That means about 90% of the men walking this planet will be subservient to other men in some kind of a way, working for them, taking their orders, doing what they tell them to do, modeling after them, wanting to be like them, etc. So this is not just a woman thing. I know I speak primarily to women, and then obviously the men who listen will, but this is cross gender. This is men and women, because the responsibility of real power, the difficulty of real power, the challenge, the opportunity, the confrontation, the dedication associated with real power, most humans are not built for it. And a large number of humans are, how do I say this? A large number of humans were born degenerate. I'll put it like that. A large number of humans were born degenerate. So they don't even have it in them. Possibility always exists, but the specific seed, that's gonna go over some people's head. You don't have it. And here's the thing. Oh, yes, thank you. So for those of us, who know, who are highly sensitive, we know, and we're highly sensitive, right? And what I know is the case, particularly with men. I don't see women so much with this. It's very interesting. It's beyond interesting. It's anyway, that's something to deal with later. Okay, this is a lot. There's a particular flavor of fear inside the male being. There's a particular flavor of fear that's inside the male being. Okay. There have been studies that have been done. So, the seed that I'm talking about, meaning the seed that lives inside of these particular humans, I'm one of them. And so I'm talking about the men and women who are of the seed that I'm talking about. It's there for us to come and truly, you know it or you don't. And on the female side, there's the vast, my God, okay, it's not even something to put into words. Vast is encapsulates as much as a word can encapsulate vast. The men who have the seed, there's a particular flavor of fear that I see and experience inside the male that is not in the female. And we can talk about the studies that mortals have done on the workings of the male mind, which obviously, if he's walking around as a male, this he's demonstrating that he matches what the study is saying, which is the study says, and this is a psychologist out of the UK, about the male mind being naturally afraid, naturally insecure, etc. And then it's also its particular chromosome, right? Anyway, so I'd like to say this before I go on. So, one, I am female, I'm a woman. That's one piece of it. Two, I have this seed. Three, I've traversed domains that many of us will not go to because we're trapped behind sensitivity and lack of skill with dealing with emotions and other people, etc. There's a certain place you're not going to get to if you're not in relationship with people where you can explore yourself in this way. This is why um, if you are of this seed and you marry or you're in relationship, close relationship, okay, with one who is not of this seed, you neuter yourself, men and women, you neuter yourself. What do I mean? Because once you get hooked into this being, okay, say a seed like me, and I get hooked into relationship with a man who's part of the degenerate clan, okay, and he and I, at this stage in the game, it would be different, but just most of us who are not awake yet, and we hook and we link with these people and we bond. Oftentimes, it's hell and high water to get out if we ever get out. Versus where I am now, I could manipulate so much more and have it be in service in a particular way. What happens is so many of us who have this seed, we end up getting with these people when we're younger, and then we wind ourselves into relationship with them through penetration, through creating things here on the material plane that bind us to them, whether it be children, whether it be experiences that release different chemicals that bond us in that way, whether it be traditional vows or other vows that we communicate in high emotional states with these people. And so we bind ourselves to these people. And then it blinds us, it neuters us, and then it creates another layer of war when it's time, if we are doing this work as we get older and we start to wake up to who we are. And it's like you've created all these binds with this person who is not of your seed, not of your kind, not of your sameness. And it creates a particular war. But the men are, and I was on a webinar with a live stream with have you guys heard of sister, what's her name? She used to be on the lecture circuit. Now she's older. She's on different people's YouTube channels. Mother Moss. She has salt and pepper hair, dark skin. spiritual mother, Myra, Sister Myra. Anybody here heard of Sister Myra? She did a live stream maybe 2 years ago, year and a half ago, and it was men and women who were there, and it was several men spoke asking her questions, and it was the boys. We couldn't see them; it was all audio. We could see her, but the people who were asking questions was only audio. And the black men, the theme amongst the black men who were talking was a deep fear, deep in their mind about, and it was in some kind of relationship with some kind of beast, the white man, the beast, the enemy. It was the same thing. The women were not talking like this, but the men were. And it was this sort of like knowing that they're powerful, knowing that they can, knowing that they are these big beings, but there's a huge trip in the mind. And this is what makes them do all kinds of things, right? And this is why it's so easy for these men to hook up with a regular woman versus hooking up with the woman that would have them come into their true, what you all call divine masculinity. And I say that because in many ways, they're a block. In many ways, they're a block. Not in all ways, but in many ways, they're a block. Because their job, it's like a company has, 10 jobs, and 5 people don't show up for work. And this job needs these 5 people to show up for their job. And when these 5 people don't show up, customer service is horrible because they're not carrying their load. Poor work is done because then the other 5 are trying to do the work that the other 5 didn't show up for. They don't have the impact, they don't have the results. And the whole while, the 5 that didn't show up to their job, talking about they sick, they had an emergency, they didn't feel like coming to work today, they complaining about the job, they looking for another job because this job don't appreciate them, they don't like the boss, all this. And I want the men who may be watching this, who may, replay, one, you need to be with your likeness. For real, for real. You need to be with your likeness. That's one. You need to be bonding, and bonding is even very human. We don't bond in the way that y'all think. Really, it's just it's an emotion. It's like a, what do you call it? It's like a candy coated prison. That's what it is. It's a candy coated prison. So, one, you need to be with your likeness. Two, the deep fear that these black men were talking about that I want to speak to right now. One, it's in the mind. Two, yes, you are what is it? Multiple words are coming to mind: threat, problem, da, 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 da. And so are we. So are we. And where we stop, that's the problem. Where we stop, and here, right here. This whole, a powerful Black woman, a powerful Black man is a threat. These memories that we use to reinforce why we stay small, assassination, technology, all the things that we use, we're still looking at it all from a fear-based mortal perspective. We're not looking at the actual power that we will be living in that would act as the protection. It's like have we forgotten that? Do we not trust that? Are we unaware of that? See, this is a whole different dimension of power that I'm talking about. You all are thinking about it from when I'm powerful, they're gonna come after me the way they came after King, and yeah, you will point to all those things. Malcolm and, to my knowledge, Malcolm and King and all the others that we could point to, they weren't focused on power. They were focused on integrating well with white people. That was their focus. Their focus was on assimilation. Their focus was on black men being able to do what white men can do, being respected the way white men was respected. That was their focus. Their focus wasn't on power and stewarding humanity. Their focus wasn't on old power, ancient power, supernatural power. Their focus wasn't on that. Their focus was on families being able to eat at restaurants like white people. Their focus was on pay and good treatment and fitting well down around here. That was their focus. Their focus was not a supernatural power. So the fact that we even think about this and we think about the evils of white men over millennia and all the things that exist in the deep mind of black men, the symbology around the Bible and the stories and makings of the Bible, etc. The Bible, depending on how you look at it, both persecutes you or imprisons you and can liberate you depending on how you see it. And this is why I said earlier that most men and women don't want power, because when you are truly focused on power, you recognize that, first of all, everything is for you. And if you were to die or get killed or whatever, that means it's time for you to go. But you don't want to live that life, right? You'd rather the comfort of whatever comfort you created for yourself. While at the same time complaining about how people don't want power. At the same time complaining about how Earth is whatever, an imprisonment camp and whatever you complain about. But you don't want no power. So shut the fuck up. Like, oh, you prefer that. You prefer to be inside of your comfort, pointing at all them other peasants out there who need to get with it. Get with what? You don't even want the power. You don't even really want the supernatural power that would have you in a whole other dimension and hook up with the woman. No, because you still trying to be like Malcolm and them. You trying to get the respect. Respect is so mortal. I get that. I get the whole need for respect. I get it. I did. Like, right. On a mortal level, because we're down here, we're in bodies. You want to know that you are valued, appreciated, honored, right? All humans. Yeah. And where you are meant to be is past respect. Do you want it or not? Do you want it or not? Or do you just want what most men, a family, a husband and kids? And I'm not saying it's anything wrong with that. It's not that. I'm saying that for many of us who hooked up with these people when we were younger, that's what I'm saying. A lot of women who've been married to this man for 10, 15, 20 years, they've created all these bindings with this person. And now and now she like, I'm not gonna ever come into my power married to him. Same thing with the men. They're not ever gonna come into their power married with her. And they married them 10, 15, 20 years ago. Anyway, all right. So I put that out there to speak to um, many things if you were able to catch it. And then also me acknowledging and I want to know. I want to know. I want to know. I want to know who are the black men who are ready for this power. I want to know. I want to meet them. I want to be in a relationship with them. I want to know. Um, the evidence thus far, and when I say thus far, I mean like even to a week ago, because in the last week with the work that I've been doing, I realized how much of me has not been receptive to a certain kind of connection with males. And so the work that I've been doing has been preparing myself to be in relationship and connection, highly sensitive, deeply and intimately with males, and ultimately power and love. And I want to know. I want to know. I mean, this is what I'm here for. It's not a mere want like I want. It it's necessary. It's very necessary for those of us who are called here to do collective work. So obviously this is not for a lot of you, but for those of you who are really called to do collective work, him with that seed, him with that seed, her with that seed. Yeah, yeah. Him taking his place, her taking her place. So uh, I want to read something. So I want to read from this book right here. I'm gonna read it and then I'll show you the book because you might not even care about the book itself. But I'll read this and then if you want to know the book, I'll tell you. So this is 74. We cannot wake up alone. We cannot wake up alone. Uh, if you are ready for this kind of connection that I'm inferring, that I'm implying, uh, if you're ready to be seen, if you're ready to unleash your voice, open your voice, if you're ready for your authentic expression to be lived in the world, uh, you have you want to get consistent with the content you really want to talk about, the real stuff. So much more. Come into my womanhood initiation. It's they're coming up at the end of this month. Yeah, the end of this month. Week after next. Week after next. Go to the link in my bio, click it, and click womanhood initiation to get yourself on the wait list. So we cannot wake up alone. We cannot wake up alone because we cannot take ourselves out of control. We cannot press our own buttons, and neither can we know who we are within the finite limitations of control. Knowing who we are is a process of exploration, of the discoveries we make on the edges of our singular identity. Here, our responses are beyond the prediction or limitation of whatever ideas we may have generated from within our familiar, isolated confines. We cannot know who we are alone because alone is not real. Who we are at every point is not a static self, but a process of mutually influencing reciprocity. And I'll say differently, you ever have these ideas about who you think you are? Have you? You have these ideas about who you think you are. And then you get into an experience where you behave in a way that's not who you think you are. Anybody here experience that? Or you get triggered. And stuff comes out of you that you didn't know was there. You ever be creating content and stuff starts coming out of your mouth and you're like, I don't know where that came from? You ever be talking about a subject and you just talking normally and then out the blue you start crying and you're like, man, I didn't see that coming. You in your house by yourself, looking at content with all these ideas. You think you so passionate about something, so convicted. You know who you are. You like, girl, I wouldn't hardly, girl, and you judging everything and everybody. You like, girl, them people tripping, girl. You like, I know what I would do. Or you looking at somebody else and you're like, I don't see how she could, girl, 6 months later, a year later, 3 years later, you find yourself doing that very thing that you was judging that woman about. Oh, you was married and you thought about things this way and you felt this way, but then you became single and then you understood why those single women was talking like that. Or you was single and you was thinking about the married women a particular way, like I wouldn't. Da, da, da. Then you got married and then you realized, oh, why they was talking like that, why they was feeling like that. We're oftentimes not who we think we are. There's oftentimes usually so much more to us. In fact, we tap into the truth of who we are when we are able to connect with other nervous systems, which is why I'm talking about sensitivity. If you lack the skill of being sensitive around others, then you are unable to tap into the truth of who you are by connecting with other nervous systems. So let me repeat this. In fact, we tap into the truth of who we are when we are able to connect with other nervous systems, progressively extending our consciousness into further and further reaches. What did you hear? What did you hear when I just said that? What did you hear? Tell me what you heard in the comments. Should I reread it? In fact, we tap into the truth of who we are when we are able to connect with other nervous systems, progressively extending our consciousness further into further and further reaches. What did you hear? Oh, getting to know someone else, I guess that can be a part of you. I guess meaning you're saying you guess? Getting to know someone else that can be a part of you. I need to get to this. So YouTube, I want to apologize. The video is private. I didn't mean to do that. So I don't think, can you leave comments while we're here? I don't think so. So if you can't, I'm saying my apologies. I didn't mean to set it up that way. Okay. Through this process, we can access Okay, through this process of connecting with other nervous systems and progressively extending our consciousness into further and further reaches, through this process, we can access the highest order information for the benefit of the greater community and the individuals involved. If the truth of life lies in our interconnection, there is simply no way to maintain the illusion that one can awaken without another. In fact, from this vantage point, the next master or world teacher will be the singular experience of a collective coming into connection. If you don't want power, you can't even do that. You got to be willing to be in relationship with other people's nervous system, meaning other people's reactions, doubts, fears, while maintaining the connection versus I don't want nothing to do with that shit. Which oftentimes is because we don't know what to do with it with ourselves. We don't know how to do with our own doubt, our own fears, our own judgment. So it's like we feel like we need to go off into a corner and then get ourselves together because we don't want to look like we don't know what we're doing. So let me go off and get it together. And when I think I'm more presentable, maybe I'll come back out. And if I do come back out, maybe I'm not coming to you because now I feel shame. Okay, I'm bringing this forward to speak to those of us who are highly sensitive, me, and many of the women who are drawn to me, okay? Now, thank you, thank you, thank you. Who here is sensitive? You can read people accurately. You feel so much. You know so much, and sometimes it can feel like a burden to know. And then when, yeah, activated and you're on, I don't know, and go further and further to that. Please have a profile photo if you want me to consider your comment. So I'll speak from where I am. And I think all day, every day, it's a regulation of my emotional state. It's a really being with myself every day, every day. So this is who I am. I don't do this to come on TikTok and talk to y'all. This is who I am. This is how I live. This is what I do. So I'm at a level of dedication that most people are not. So that's the lens through which I talk, through which I think, through which I am. And I expect my work to impact the collective. This is not just for me, this is for the collective. So when I'm talking about and thinking about the work, when I'm talking about and thinking about women, men, I'm talking about the collective. And I'm talking about those of us who truly have the seed being in position, because then that starts to steward all of humanity. This is how I think, know, feel, move. So I'm responsible for myself entirely. I'm responsible for my emotional state, my mood, the way I respond to my own thoughts, feelings, sensation, the way I respond when I'm out dealing with other people, everything. I am responsible. Nobody else is. Nobody else can do it for me, give it to me. Okay. And so all the time I'm tuned in, I'm with myself tuned in. And when this is a lifestyle, for those of you who are at the beginning stages of this, who will make this a lifestyle of tuning into your feeling state and interacting with other people and feeling so much and coming out here into the world and dealing with people who are disconnected from themselves, who have habituated lying. And it's not that they're intentionally lying, it's just that they pretend so often for so long. It's like they forget. There's a sort of amnesia that they create for themselves. And this is why waking up can be so painful for people, is because so many of us have created the world that we live in to, you know, for comfort, to never have to look at ourselves. It's a trauma-based comfort, um, a fear-based comfort, etc. So there's a lot of amnesia, there's a lot of binds, there's a lot of story making for most human beings who are living like this all the time. So when you go out to Target, when you go to work with your boss, maybe your girlfriends, and you're just out living in the world, this is what you're dealing with. You're dealing with people who are very much in binds. They live in their world. They created a prison around themselves through their own mind for whatever the reasons are. And then here you come as a deeply sensitive person, a deeply feeling person who can see, like, especially when you become really, you work this, right? And then I work in this domain. So I've been working with people's deep emotionality for 12 years, including my own. And I think I'm going to dial it back to who I was in 2015, because where I am, you might not be able to relate to. And I want to speak to where you are, so you can take some action from where you are. Okay. So in 2014, I was still a deeply feeling, highly sensitive person. I've always been this way. And to feel deeply and to run away was a habit of mine. To feel deeply and to run away was a habit, okay? Particularly in the domain of sex and money, which is why you may have heard me repeatedly tell the story of when I was in a dark night of the soul at the end of 2013. And what became very clear to me during this dark night is, one, you need to make money and service equally important, Naeem. Because at the time, I was like so many women who were like, I want to help people, I want to help people. And it was at the expense of myself. So I was helping people and I was broke because I didn't make money just as important as helping people. That was one thing that came out of that dark night. And the second one was that my sexual self needs to come to the front. My sexual self needs to come to the front, because my habit at the time, and this is not something I consciously came to on my own, in my own little world, etc. The results of it showed itself to me, but I couldn't identify it myself. And it wasn't until I got dragged down, which is what a dark night is. For those of you who repeatedly find yourself in a dark night of the soul, that's your soul trying to get your attention. So it's not in your interest to try to hurry up and get out of it and get back to normal. Why? So you can get back to the same old reality that you was not liking anyway? No, you want to get the wisdom, like, what am I, why, oh, okay. And listen to it and then take the action. So you don't have to keep getting dragged to the bottom of life to get your attention. Unless you like it like that. Some people like that shit. So, one, I mean, you need to make money and service equally important. And two, you need to bring your sexual self to the front seat. So that's what came out of that. And so when you make a decision, as you know, when you make a decision that you're going to do anything, oh, I'm moving overseas, I'm buying a house, it's time for me to have my man, I'm losing weight, I'm starting this business, I'm expressing myself creatively, I'm being authentic. Anything you decide you're going to do, boom, you start getting opportunities to show if you mean it, right? All kind of shit starts showing up to see if you mean it, right? And then you will take the action or inaction that shows that you meant it or not. So that happened for me in 2014 about your sexual self needs to be in the front seat because I would run from her. I would deal with her in private or in like these, uh, anywhere that didn't require too much risk where I could still hide, etc. I would deal with her, but I would never deal with her front and center, head on. Okay. And boom, this opportunity presented itself where some sexual energy in me rose in the presence of this man in a situation where I would normally feel copious amounts of shame. And I did initially run, but I ran with the understanding of, oh my God, I have to deal with this. This opportunity is here. And if I run from this shit, I'm going to stay stuck right here in this spiral. I was able to catch it. And so I caught it and I took the most courageous face on, head on uh, scenario with this man as it related to my sexual self and the power that was streaming through me that I would normally run from. Okay. Now, now, please remember, please remember, please remember. Okay. I'm talking about you being powerful because you have a purpose in the world. Whatever. Okay. You having a purpose in the world. I'm not talking to the majority of women. We are not the same. I'm not talking to the majority of women. You have to know who you are enough to even hear what I'm saying. Okay. When you have a purpose in the world, whether it's unleashing your creative voice, some kind of art, a book, speaker, whatever the thing is that you're called to do, your impact, your satisfaction in the work, your active courage, your self-respect, your deep fulfillment, the ability for your true work to come out and land in the minds of other people, for your true work to come out and land in people's minds and hearts and ears, for that to actually happen, you have to be so willing and so skilled with being sensitive in relationship with other people. First, in relationship with yourself, then also in relationship with the people who are going to be a part of that process, part of your life, not even just the process of your work, but the process of your life. So when I say, is your sensitivity in service to you or is it a prison? It is so essential that you engage in whatever work, whether that's coming into my community or going somewhere else, that helps you refine your deepest, most primal, most convicted emotions, your sexual energy, rage. First of all, primal sexual energy is at the top, 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 top. And then there's all the other emotions that, it's like primal's at the top, and then there's all the other stuff, the anger, the rage, the shame. Those are major, 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 major. So again, I invite you, and I want to say more about this, but before I go on, I invite you, you're welcome, no, to, if you are drawn to my woman community, go to the link in my bio and click it and click womanhood initiation. Womanhood initiation. Okay. That'll put you on the wait list. Our next one is coming up week after next. We're scared of being seen in our sensitivity. We're scared of being taken advantage of in our sensitivity. We're scared of being played, being harmed, somebody touching something in us, somebody taking from us, us being activated in some kind of way where we lose all control. Anybody else want to say more about what they're afraid of as it relates to their sensitivity? Not being loved. Maybe we won't be loved if we're really seen for who we are. We won't be respected. Ah, rejection, not being validated, heard, seen as me, learning in public, treating life like an experiment, super cool, never being accepted, uh, never being accepted, yeah. Even though where I want acceptance is the word. That's a good one. Anybody here felt something similar with Sin said? Never being accepted, even though where I wanted acceptance isn't the world I wanted to live in. Exactly. That's crazy, right? And that's why we'll settle a lot of times. We'll settle because, like, being somewhere is better than being nowhere. You know what I'm saying? Afraid of my development being grandiose. Yeah, you will be grandiose. That's part of it. Like, these are all initiations, you know? You want to go through the process of being grandiose. Oh, you can't see me. Oh man. Yeah, I thank you for saying that. I did that was an accident. I don't think it's anything I can do about that now. Or can I? Let me see. Let's see. Oh, maybe. It says it's public though. Yeah, I can't do anything about that. Sorry, YouTube. That was an accident. I streamed through Zoom because YouTube wasn't acting right, and somehow it made it private. So my apologies. Um, so whoever this said something about being grandiose and like becoming fully yourself and like too much and like that's a rite of passage. You want to do that. It's part of your initiation. All the things that anybody here could say, anything you could say that you fear happening, anything you could say you fear happening is a rite of passage. Whether it's being betrayed, being played, not being seen, not being validated. The issue here is that for many of you, when these things happen in your life, you're not doing anything intentional. You're not with purpose. So when it happens, it's just like this fucked up thing happened. So it's easy to just withdraw because you don't have any meaning behind it that's moving you through the difficulty, that's having you look at, okay, so what's the value here? Oftentimes, versus when you are deliberately engaging in whatever the thing is, the relationship with the person, the project, and you're like, I'm deliberately engaging in this to grow my power. or my life, not even just this event, but my life now is about power. My life now is about authenticity. My life now is about development. And you go out into the world, you recognize that everything is in service to your development. Everything is in service to you moving through your fear of being grandiose. Everything is in service to your becoming. When you're moving around in thought like that, most of you are not moving around in thought like that in a real way, because then you would see everything is happening for you. And if you're not seeing everything is happening for you, I'm telling you right now, you want to see everything is happening for you. So someone said I play the tough, but in reality, I love everyone. How do you know you love everyone? How do you know? Because you think it's so or you live so. People's pain makes me hurt. It's very common. Am I in prison? No, you're not. Just saying people's pain makes you hurt. It's an empathy. Okay. How do you know you mean it? And what does love mean? Someone else said, I am made different by an accident. Until recently, I thought I regained something, afraid of showing. I'm not sure what that means. Here's why I'm encouraging those of you who you know you're sensitive. You do have important work to do in the world. Projects. You want to be alive. You really want your full power. One, I want you to come into my womanhood initiation, but two, I want you to come in person. I want you to be a part, whether you're like a part of the team that puts it together or come as a participant when we start gathering in person. And I need help with that, men and women. Okay, I need help with that to be a part of the putting it together because do you really know the kind of ricochet we can have in the world? When I say we, I mean those of us with these seeds who really start moving into the power that I'm talking about here today, that I've been talking about here, that I've been talking about. Do you know the kind of ricochet we can have in the world? Are you made for that? Is that what you're here for? And if not, so be it. But are you here for that? Are you here for full power? Are you here for supernatural power? Here on the ground, here on the ground. And since I'm not hearing from anybody, why are you here on this live stream? Because it's interesting? Share with me that. Why are you here? Because it's interesting? Because you want to see what nuggets I may drop? Why are you here? Somebody said I'm searching for my true self. I value your thoughts and wisdom. If you're ready for community, if you need community, because community is life or death for the woman who I'm talking to. It literally is a matter of life or death for the woman that I'm talking to. You need to be in my woman community. Your way into my woman community is to come to the womanhood initiation. To come to the womanhood initiation, you go to the link in my bio, click it, and put yourself on the wait list by clicking womanhood initiation. Again, womanhood initiation. I'm going to end my YouTube. I need to eat also. Why is this thing started? And I already started.